Hello everyone, today let's discuss about clinical diagnosis of pulpal diseases and its treatment. So this is the sequelae of pulpal diseases. Noxious stimuli to the normal pulp results in reversible pulpitis. That means the pulp is capable to revert back to its original condition after the removal of the stimuli. So this reversible pulpitis eventually progresses to irreversible pulpitis. Pulpitis means pulpal inflammation. This irreversible pulpitis can either be asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis or symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis, when left untreated, becomes symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Irreversible pulpitis eventually might result in pulp polyp, which is also known as chronic hyperplastic pulpitis, or internal resorption might also occur. In either of these cases, it results in pulpal necrosis. In either of these cases, pulpal necrosis is the result. Also, ischemia induced by traumatic injury results in pulpal necrosis. Now, stimuli causing degenerative changes to the pulp causes calcific degeneration, atrophic degeneration or fibrous degeneration. So, this was the sequelae of pulpal disease. Now, clinical classification of pulpal disease. It is under three main headings. Number 1 is inflammatory disease of dental pulp, which includes reversible pulpitis, inflammation, irreversible pulpitis, irreversible pulpal inflammation. So this irreversible pulpitis can either be symptomatic, asymptomatic, pulp polyp or internal resorption. Number 2 is pulpal degeneration. Is this pulpal degeneration? It can be calcific degeneration, which is a radiographic finding. It can be atrophic degeneration, which is a histopathologic finding, or fibrous degeneration. Number 3 is pulpal necrosis. That means classification of pulpal diseases are divided into three broad headings. Number 1 is inflammatory disease of pulp. Number 2 is pulpal degeneration. Number 3 is pulp necrosis. Starting with reversible pulpitis. As said, it is specific to the stimulus and is relieved after the stimulus is removed. Whereas this irreversible pulpitis, in irreversible pulpitis, the pain or the symptoms persist even after removal of the stimulus. That is because the pulp in irreversible pulpitis is incapable of returning back to the normal state even after the removal of the stimulus. This is the major difference that we get to see in irreversible pulpitis, which differentiates irreversible pulpitis from reversible pulpitis. The pain that is seen in reversible pulpitis is short, sharp pain, which is specific to the stimulus. The tooth here is not mobile and is negative on percussion. Radiographic features. Normal pedial pathology is seen, but a radiolucency involving enamel dentin, which approximates pulp, is seen. So the causes of reversible pulpitis are trauma, shock, caries, chemical stimuli like sweet and sour foods, and deep caries tooth, which is restored without intermediate cement. Treatment for reversible pulpitis. because the pulp is capable of reverting back to its normal state once the removal of the stimulus is done. So the treatment for this is removal of the stimulus, and then we check for the vitality of the tooth. So in this case, this molar was restored with amalgam restoration. Now the tooth was symptomatic for biting forces and cold application. So the amalgam restoration is now removed and it is restored with direct composite. Now the tooth is vital for 5 years, also it is symptomless. Supposingly this doesn't happen, that means the teeth is still symptomatic, then it is no longer in reversible pulpitis stage. It has progressed to irreversible pulpitis, and hence the total pulp has to be removed in such cases. Irreversible pulpitis. As said, there are of two types, symptomatic and asymptomatic. Asymptomatic, when left untreated, become symptomatic. So the symptoms that we get to see in symptomatic irreversible pulpitis are sharp throbbing pain, which lasts even after the removal of the stimulus. Also, the painful response is seen to thermal stimulus. The pain that we get to see in symptomatic irreversible pulpitis is one or combination of spontaneous pain, continuous pain, lingering pain, or nocturnal pain. That means pain felt during night time, which keeps patient awake. Postural pain. While bending down, patient might feel pain when he has symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Referred pain is also seen in such conditions. That means the pain is referred to sinuses in case of maxillary teeth and in ear in case of the mandibular teeth. Radiographic features. In irreversible pulpitis, PDL features are completely normal, but coronal ill-defined radiolucency involving pulpal space is seen. The causes of irreversible pulpitis are caries and other factors like chemical, mechanical factors, and sometimes thermal factors also. Now, chronic hyperplastic pulpitis. This is also known as pulp polyp. It is a protective pulpal inflammation due to an extensive carious exposure of a young pulp. The appearance of this polypoid tissue is clinically characteristic feature. So this polypoid tissue is a fleshy reddish pulpal mass which fills most of the pulp chambers or might even extend beyond it. This polypoid tissue is normally less sensitive than the normal pulpal tissue, but it bleeds easily. Only if the pressure is transmitted to the apical end of the pulp, it causes pain. Otherwise, it is less sensitive to the normal tissue. But this polypoid tissue, as said, it might extend beyond the tooth surface. It interferes with occlusion and mastication. And this is something which irritates the patient. This pulp polyp is confused with proliferative gingival tissue, as clinically both of them look alike. To differentiate it from the pulp polyp, that means to differentiate the proliferative gingival tissue from the pulp polyp, we need to trace the origin of the tissue. The cause of the pulp polyp, as said, slow progressive caries exposure. Let's see a diagram. This is the pulp polyp. As you see, this fleshy reddish pulpal mass extended beyond the tooth surface. Why does this tissue bleed very easily? Because it has lot of capillaries. Now, internal resorption. Resorption is defined as a condition associated with either physiologic or pathologic process resulting in loss of dentin, cementum or the bone. So the internal resorption is a idiopathic, slow or fast progressive resorptive process occurring in the dentin of the pulp chamber or in the root canals of the teeth. Due to internal resorption, the tooth is discolored. That is a clinical thing, clinical diagnosis. Also, pink spot is seen in such cases. That means tooth with internal resorption is manifested as a reddish area. In these crowns of the tooth, internal resorption may be manifested as a reddish area, which is known as the pink spot. This reddish area represents the granulation tissue. Represents what? Granulation tissue. Showing through the resorbed area of the crown. The granulation tissue is a young vascular connective tissue containing polymorphonuclear neutrophils, lymphocytes and plasma cells. The pulp tissue is chronically inflamed and nerve fibers may be found in the epithelial layer of this condition. This is that pink spot we were talking about. The cause of internal resorption is unknown. However, it is mostly associated with trauma. Now, radiographic feature. In radiographic features, we see resorption more extensively in the pulpal wall. Because this is internal resorption and resorption is more extensive in the pulpal wall than on the root surface. When the internal resorption progresses into the periodontal space, a perforation of the root occurs for sure. So, it is now difficult to differentiate from the external resorption. So, in internal resorption, we need to remember that the resorptive defect is more extensive in the pulpal wall than on the root surface. So this defect is definitely recognized by means of a radiograph. See, in this case, you see the resorption here. This is the radiographic feature. Now, pulp necrosis. Necrosis means death. Pulp necrosis means death of the pulp. Normally, it is asymptomatic. But if symptomatic, severe pain for few minutes to few hours is felt by the patient, which is followed by sudden cessation of pain. Which is followed by sudden cessation of the pain. Pulp necrosis is negative to electric pulp test. But it responds only if few apical fibers survive. also a minimal response to maximum current. Minimal response to maximum current of the electric pulp test occurs when current is conducted through the moisture present in the root canal following liquefaction necrosis to the neighboring vital tissues. Causes of pulpal necrosis. Number 1 is inflammation. We have discussed this part, inflammation part, how inflammation causes pulpal necrosis. And number 2 is trauma. So after trauma, pulp is destroyed. Now ischemic infraction occurs. This results in dry gangrenous necrosis. Pulpal necrosis is of two types: coagulative necrosis and liquefaction necrosis. Now coming to degenerative pulpal changes. Number 1 is calcific degeneration. This calcific degeneration is a radiographic finding. In this, pulpal tissue is replaced by calcific material. Pulpal tissue is replaced by calcific material. When the whole of the pulpal tissue is replaced by calcific material, it is called calcific metamorphosis. I'll show you a diagram. See, calcific metamorphosis. Here, complete obliteration of the pulpal space is seen because it is replaced by calcific material. And this is a radiographic diagnosis. Number 2, atrophic degeneration. This is a histopathologic diagnosis. Here, fewer stellate cells are seen with increased intracellular fluid and less pulpal sensitivity. Fibrous degeneration. In fibrous degeneration, the root canals have a leathery fiber appearance. This is because of the cellular elements that are replaced by the fibrous connective tissue. Because the cellular elements are replaced by a fibrous connective tissue, the root canals have a leathery fiber appearance. As seen in this diagram. This is the diagram for pulpal necrosis. This completes diseases of dental pulp. Thank you.